yourself. I appreciate that.
Well, good. I just had two questions for you. The first one, you mentioned the Defense of Marriage Act. The president saying that he's not going to, go after that in the courts. What kind of action can you do in the Congress to affect that?
We are looking into the options right now. I don't know. I'm not an attorney, but we're looking into that. So I hope on Monday to find out more options. I've read something about Congress can pass a resolution authorizing Congress to step in or something, but at this time, I'm not sure what all that means.
Right. Now, whenever they kind of announced that, the White House said, look, if a member of Congress wants to go and defend it, they can do that on their own. Is that something you'd be interested in doing, is doing it?
If I have to, I definitely will. But I'm hoping that we'll be able to as a group. That most of us in the Republican House will step forward as a team and say, on behalf of most Americans who believe that it's wise public policy to stand up together and do it.
In the President's State of the Union speech, kind of switching gears for the budget, he mentioned cutting oil subsidies, and there's also talk of cutting farm subsidies. With billions of dollars being spent on that, is that something you'd be interested in looking into cutting?
I think everything needs to be on the table. And I've said all along that every program should answer a matrix of questions, and my matrix is: 1, is it constitutional? 2, is it needed? 3, is it working? And 4, is it efficient? And if it doesn't meet those tests, then we need to either revise it, reform it, or repeal it. So I'm willing to look at everything.
Is there anything that's off the table? Education spending, immigration, or border defense?
Well, I'd say the last thing I'd be willing to look at really is defense spending cuts. Since we are fighting a war on 2 fronts right now, we have men and women in harm's way. And there are all kinds of threats facing our country now, from Iran to North Korea. And our defense budget per GDP is the lowest it's been since President Kennedy's day, back in the 60s. I think there's a lot of other places that we can look first, and we should do, before we even talk about harming our troops.
A couple weeks ago, or last week, you guys voted on the F-35 engine. You voted to keep it. A lot of the Tea Party voted against it. That was a Boehner thing. Why? Are cuts like that needed when the Department of Defense said that, look, we don't want this?
That was a very interesting vote. It's something I took very, very seriously. And so my background is to get as much knowledge as possible on an issue, and I did. I got all kinds of information on the ramifications of only having one engine that Secretary Gates was promoting at this time. He's changed position. He used to be for 2. And then looking also at the cost savings of keeping the 2. I visited with experts. I called people in my district, which I work for. Ultimately, I sided with keeping 2 engines going because of my belief that down the road it'll save money. That's what it did with the F-16. They ran 2 engines, plus security, because in a few years down the road, the F-35 will be, I believe, 85% of our entire planes in our military will be that one model. And since it's a single-engine plane, there's some advocacy for just having two different alternative engines. So that's where I came down this time. If I learn more in the future, we'll see.
Let's do one more, and then you guys can. I know you alluded to this a little bit in your speech, but talk about being a freshman in this Congress. Is your voice being heard?
Oh yeah, it really is. Since there's 87 of us, we make up really the majority of the Republican conference, and that if all of us vote as a bloc, we can really impact what things are done there. And so they are listening to us, but thankfully there's not too much disagreement. I think we're all on the same page. John Boehner, Eric Cantor, our current leadership, the people who have been there, as well as the new people, that we've got to get jobs back in this country. We've got to rein in runaway spending, and we've got to make the hard decisions, but the smart decisions. And so we're going to continue to do that.